Flying is to unveil the map beneath the surface. I am a traveling crow, and on my journey I've witnessed many stories. Once I met a squirrel guarding a hollow log. "A winter's feast is within," he declared proudly. "I believe it. I saw the nuts rolled in that is justified, and it is true. This, friend crow, is knowledge." A sly fox passing by paused. "A fine theory," she grinned. She nudged a hidden catch. A false bottom swung open, the log was empty. The squirrel's jaw dropped. "Your truth was stolen by a crafty chipmunk hours ago." The squirrel held a justified true belief, yet he knew nothing of the feast. "I saw then that knowledge is not a statue built from 3 blocks. It is a living tree. Belief, justification, and truth are its roots and trunk. But without the 4th hidden element, the deep grounding connection to the ever-shifting world, it bears no fruit. We call that connection understanding, and it cannot be stolen." Once I met a mole deep in his tunnel. "The world is dark, moist, and full of tender roots," he whispered with certainty. "This is all that is." A swallow, resting above, laughed. "The world is boundless blue, painted with wind and cloud. Your truth is a tiny shadow of the real." The mole touched his wall. The swallow gazed at the sky. Each held a truth built by their senses, impeccable and absolute. Then the earth trembled. The tunnel shifted, revealing a vein of luminous crystal. The sky darkened, veiling the sun with dust. In that moment, both worlds changed, proving themselves mere facets of a greater, unknowable stone. I realized then, we do not see the world, we see the tools we have to perceive it. Certainty is not a light revealing reality, but a perfectly carved lens, clear, convincing, and forever separating us from the raw, unfiltered dark. Once I met an ant, meticulously tracing every contour of a single, vast leaf. "Truth is here," she declared, "in every scent, texture, and vein I touch. All knowledge is built from these facts." Above her, a spider spun a perfect, glittering geometry between 2 branches. "Truth is here," he hummed. "In the pure form my mind imposes on chaos. My web exists before I spin it." The ant climbed, trapped in endless particulars. The spider calculated, suspended in elegant theory. A sudden gust shook the tree. The ant was flung onto the silken threads. For a moment she felt their perfect, logical order, a map beyond her touch. The spider, feeling her weight, knew the gritty reality of a world that intrudes. True wisdom, it seems, is not the leaf or the web, but the moment the crawler meets the spinner, and both are changed. Once I met a newly hatched turtle scrambling toward the sea. His tiny legs moved with urgent, untaught purpose. No one had told him where safety lay, he knew. This was a map drawn before birth. Years later I saw him again, now an old guide on the same shore. He nudged a disoriented hatchling toward the waves, then turned to me. "The first map is strong," he said, "but it only points the way. The true knowledge is written in the journey, the taste of predator and current, the memory of 1,000 shores. What we are born knowing is the question. What we learn is the answer." I watched the hatchling vanish into the surf, carrying its innate promise, and I saw the elder, whose body was a living library of earned wisdom. Knowledge is not one thing. It is the conversation between the compass we are given and the ocean we must chart. Once, in a golden field, I saw a mouse. He stood before 3 identical grain stacks. "The middle one is full," he declared. "I believe it. I saw the farmer fill it yesterday, and it's true, therefore I know." A gust of wind blew. The outer sheaves of the left stack fell away, revealing a hollow shell. The mouse nodded, smug. His justification seemed perfect. But I, from above, saw what he did not. At dawn, a thief had secretly swapped the contents of the middle and right stacks. The mouse's belief was true and justified, yet built upon a hidden, pivotal falsehood that the stack he saw filled remained the same. He did not know. He merely held a truth, by accident, in a web of chance. True knowledge, it seems, is not a treasure easily claimed. It is a fortress that must be secure, not just in fact and reason, but against the silent, shifting sands of coincidence. Once, I met a pin Marten in an ancien forest. He knew everything about his domain, each squirrel's route, each owl's perch, each root's contour. Knowledge, he declared, is a map with no blank spaces. One day, a strange scent appeared musky, unknown. The Marten tracked it obsessively, day and night, until it led him to the forest's edge. Before him stretched an endless rolling moor, windswept and utterly alien. He stood frozen. His perfect map ended here. Everything beyond was terra incognita, a vastness that his vast knowledge could not encompass or even name. He did not cross. He simply sat, gazing, and in that humbling silence I saw his true education begin. For the highest form of knowing is to recognize the precise line where your knowledge ends and to respect the wilderness that lies beyond. Once I saw a bat asleep in a sunlit cave. A sparrow perched nearby chirped, "How sad! He cannot see this glorious world." That night the bat awoke. As he flew, he did not see the forest he heard its shape. Each leaf, each branch, each moth was a detailed echo returning to him. His world was not a painting of light, but a symphony of sound, no less vivid or real. The sparrow, blind in the dark, was silent. I understood then. The cave did not change, but the world experienced by the bat and the sparrow were not the same world. Their reality was built not from what is, but from how it is perceived. Existence is the mountain, but perception is the many paths up its side. No single path reveals the whole, yet each is a true way of being in the world. Once I met an owl on a branch overlooking a misty lake. "Listen," she said. "The frogs are silent tonight. No ripples show. The fish are asleep. The evidence is clear. The heron is not hunting." Her logic was impeccable. All signs pointed to an empty lake. Just then a shadow descended. The heron struck, emerging not from the water, but from a hollow log on the far shore, a place the owl's senses never scanned. The owl had built a perfect castle of reason, but on a foundation of unseen sand. Her evidence was true, but fatally incomplete. I learned then that evidence does not simply lead to truth, it follows the path we illuminate. True reason is not just connecting the dots we see, but forever questioning the darkness between them. For the most critical fact is often the one our light has not yet fallen upon. Once I met a squirrel who was a master of routine. Every dawn the farmer fills this feeder, he chattered, pointing. Sunrise, then seeds. It is the law of the world. For 1,000 dawns it was so. His certainty was a fortress. Then, one morning, the feeder remained empty. The farmer had simply left on a journey. The squirrel, baffled, stared at the silent, vacant scoop. His world's most reliable law had broken without warning. He hadn't learned a law, I realized. He had only memorized a pattern, and a pattern, no matter how long it repeats, carries no promise of tomorrow. The universe is not a contract, it is a habit, and habits can change in a heartbeat. We build our lives on the gentle slope of always, forgetting that at the top lies not a guaranteed plateau, but a sheer cliff called until now. Once I met 2 foxes in a moonlit clearing. One howled at the stars, a sound of pure, aching longing. The other watched him, head tilted, and then began to howl as well, same pitch, same rhythm. "You understand my sorrow," cried the first, eyes glistening. "I understand the sound of your sorrow," replied the second, calmly. "I can mirror its form perfectly, but the ache inside you, that is yours alone. I have only my own, different ache to answer with." They fell silent, 2 echoes under the same moon, separated by an unbridgeable chasm of private feeling. I realize then that we are all like those foxes. We spend our lives learning the shapes of each other's howls, the words, the gestures, the tears. We become masters of imitation and empathy. Yet the inner landscape, the raw feel of being another, remains a foreign country we can hear described, but never truly enter.